So as you guys know, this is approximately 60 minutes. I'll make the choice at the end if I want to go 3 minutes late or not. Just kidding. But we're gonna spend 60 minutes together, guys. This is session number 5. So if you're just joining in to No Reps Left Behind, this is a weekly sales training. And the purpose of No Reps Left Behind is truly to be able to help you guys raise the floor. When we say raise the floor, there's always one individual, right? Maybe not always, right? But there's always one person that is that's great at what they do. And sometimes it's the owner of the company. And we'll talk a little bit about that today, right? The owner of the company, he was the original salesman. He knows it better than anybody. He can negotiate on the spot, and he just becomes this individual that's great. But what we do at No Reps Left Behind is once you start growing a sales team, now you have multiple individuals that have different ways of learning, different ways and skills of being able to sell. And if you give everybody the exact same training, the exact same antidote, right, to whatever the problems might be, it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't solve the illness, because each one of us are unique. And that's really what No Reps is about helping you guys understand the qualifications, or more importantly, the disqualifications, because the best book of business does not have 150 opportunities in it, right? It's not just overburdened with this massive amount of opportunities, because as you guys will learn as we talk through this today, when you get an opportunity, the first thing we have to do is make sure that the problem is big enough to act. And that's something that is just historically the number one killer to sales deals, is not that they award it to a different company, not that you lose it because of price or something like that. It's that the customer doesn't actually do anything. They don't fix the problem. They have the proposal sit there, and they tell every other roofer that stops by, yeah, no problem. We have roof leaks. If you want to give us a proposal, go for it. And without the proper discovery, that's what ultimately creates this sludge inside your book of business of opportunities that will never sell and continue to be able to drag you guys down, because you're doing nothing but following up with people who ultimately don't want to talk to you. That's the reason I'm here. That's the reason I continue to be able to pour into No Reps Left Behind, and I'm here each week. So my name is Chad Westbrook. I am the founder of Service Alignment. If you haven't checked it out, go do it, servicealignment.com. My career has been 20 years within this commercial roofing world, or I'll say the commercial sector. I think it's 17 at this point right now in the commercial roofing sector, specifically inside service. So I believe inside building relationships, starting all the way from the first time that they have a roof leak or first time that they have a problem. And that positions me well better to be able to engage in some of the success that I've had, whether that be preventative maintenance, whether that be budgeting, long-term budgeting, and at the end of the day, capital projects where we're actually putting new roofs on and starting that whole life cycle over. So that has really been my career. What I'm doing here is exactly what I said. I'm here to be able to feed back into the sales reps that want to be better, that want better ways to be able to qualify, disqualify opportunities, and really kind of hack through, guys, all the different things that we run into inside real world sales. So I'm not giving you some fairyland, hey, this is what it should look like and this is what you should do. This is real world, no BS training that I want to give to you guys. So again, you can raise the floor on where you're at.
Hey guys, David Bonney, founder of 45. I've been in sales and sales leadership for the better part of 15 years. And my journey went from a sales rep who couldn't figure it out, who sucked at the very beginning, to I was forced to figure it out or I was going to get fired. I wasn't going to get out of my ramp period. I figured it out. I was at a Fortune 500 company, went to the top of the West Coast division, then got headhunted by a fast growing software company. It was about 3 to 5 million when I started there. And we went all the way up to 100 million and $1 billion valuation. So the stuff that I learned in all of that, you know, we teach our kids all the time. You didn't lose, you learned, right? Like it's such a great way to look at it. Well, you do a lot of losing on that run. You can grow by 50, 60% a year and you're still a failure to the board and to the investors. And when you lose that much, you learn a ton. And what my mission has been is to, how do I take those losses and the things that we learned and then the strategies that came from that to fix that? How do we give that back to the industry? How do we give that back to salespeople so that they can win more, so they can make more, so they can provide better? How do we give that back to companies, specifically in commercial roofing, so they can grow faster with less stress and have more fun? And that's why Chad and I do No Reps Left Behind every single week. That's why we're going to continue to do it, because we want to give back to the industry and we want to be able to give you guys the shortcuts. And the only thing that we ask is that you guys just implement the stuff that we're giving you here. Well, actually, we ask two things. Ask questions if you don't quite see what we're teaching here and how it applies to what you're doing or the problems that you're bumping up against and why stuff isn't closing. And two, we're asking that you guys just implement it because we made a lot of mistakes, and these are the solutions for those mistakes, so you guys don't have to make them.
That's an awesome point. The only way that this is going to change your guys' success, results, or whatever it is that you're looking to gain out of this is if you guys implement it. So you got to commit to yourself. That's the first part. Your first part, step one, awesome. Thank you for being here. It's the 60 minutes of your time where you guys are showing up. Step two is you got to try something. You got to try something different. Definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing and expecting some type of different end result. So David said he asked for two things. That's a lie, because I'm going to ask for something completely different. The reason I do this is to be able to feed back into you guys. There's no cost. There's no reason that you guys are showing up other than you want to be better in your sales environment. You want to be that trusted advisor, sit on the same side of the table, all that fun stuff that we talk about. But my background is that you guys help us get into your network. I mean, this is networking and sales at its best. If you guys get something out of this, if you're showing up and you're here for more than one of them, I ask for you to do one of three things in here. Number one, show some love on LinkedIn, show some love on Facebook, wherever it is. Throw a tag inside there. I mean, you can pull it from any one of my company pages where we're streaming this and share it. That's one of the biggest things that you guys can do for me, is to be able to help get my company, my name out there. Because again, that's what I want to be associated with. The third one on the right-hand side is a Facebook page or a Facebook group. So I have a group. I always throw stuff inside there. So if you want to know ultimately what's coming off the top of my head on what I'm thinking at 2 a.m. on a Saturday, I'm kidding. But that's where I'm dropping all the stuff that I'm thinking, the stuff I see where I'm out there. It's just a way for us to be able to network. As you guys know, those groups are only as good as the individuals that are contributing in those groups. So if you feel that you can contribute as well as take away from it, right? Or I'll say contribute as much as you take away, join it, scan the QR code. It'll be in the upper left-hand side of each one of these slides that you go through. But I'd love to be able to have you guys join the group. And again, continue to be able to contribute, ask questions. Don't be afraid to challenge things, because the only thing I can tell you is that it's a brilliant quote, is if you knew everything today, it only prepares you for yesterday. And think about that. If you knew everything today, it only would prepare you for yesterday, because everything is changing every day. Our customers, how they're buying, the interactions that they're having, everything is changing every single day. So we have to be able to learn, and we have to be able to implement. That's a huge, huge part of kind of what we're going around. All right, so I'm going to give you the high level. If you guys have not been here for the last 5 sessions, what we're talking about is a 4D sales process, right? 4Ds. Number one is discovery. Okay, so we're going to go in and we want to understand that what our client is dealing with. This is not about going in and word vomiting who we are, who our company is, how long we've been in business, what we do. Nobody cares about you. No one cares about what you do, because they've taken time out of their day to be able to sit down with you to solve either a problem or a goal that they have. Very typical. Our job is to be able to understand what that problem or goal is from our client's perspective, because that's what we're solving. And we'll go deeper inside this, but that's discovery. Once we understand our client's perception of reality, then we go into diagnosis. So diagnosis is when we actually get up on the roof. We start seeing maybe what's contributing to the water, the leaks, or whatever the problem is that our customer's having. So we can truly start connecting the dots, right? We think about a doctor's office, you go inside there, my leg hurts. Okay, they look at it. Then they go into diagnosis. They do x-rays. They figure out what's going on to be able to correctly diagnose what the situation is. The third D is demonstration. And this is where everything kind of comes home, about positioning yourself as an expert to solve their unique problem or their unique goal, because the problem that they have is unique to them. It's their problem. It's only their problem. Now, you may have solved this 100 different times before, but the idea is that your customer wants a very unique way, a very proven and sound solution to be able to solve their problem. And that can be anywhere from a roof leak, that can be anywhere from a blow off to a hailstorm, to you name whatever it is. Your customer's looking for something unique. And this is what I talked about a little bit before we started, that if you guys don't have a way to individualize yourself, if you guys don't have a way to set yourself apart, you're going to be commoditized. And that's when you start losing due to pricing. That's when you start losing jobs due to competition in different areas like that, to where you can't truly separate yourself. Now, the fourth D you see inside there, guys, is decision, right? Everything that we're doing, our discovery, our diagnosis, and our demonstration, which we're going to go through today, high level, is to be able to help the client make a decision. And notice I didn't say get the project. I didn't say sign your proposal. It's to help the client make a decision, because as a trusted advisor, we're sitting on the same side of the table, helping them solve the problem. And as long as you guys have all of the right stuff in line, you have the right way to be able to diagnose what their issues are, you're going to be the trusted advisor that's helping them find the solution that they need, that's keeping them from their important outcomes or the important stuff that they really want to be doing versus the stuff they have to be doing sitting down with you. So everything we're going to be talking about today is helping the client make a decision while positioning ourselves as an expert to be able to solve their unique problems or get them to their unique goals. So remember that. This is not about selling a contract. This is not about selling roof repairs or anything else here. Everything we're talking about, not just in this session, but the entire No Reps Left Behind series, is about helping your client make a decision while positioning yourself as an expert inside solving those problems or goals, right, that are uniquely theirs. David, anything you want to add to this?
So there's just two things that we typically focus on, guys. Like, these are bad leads. I'm getting bad leads. That's why I'm not getting results. A lot of your leads aren't bad, guys. We hate to say it. We're not trying to cast aspersions or cast stones. We've been there. They're not bad. We're just not doing the work necessary to unpack the information that would get them to take action, that would get them to take action with an outside solution, that would get them to take action with us. And when we can start looking at ourselves, as intimidating as that is, it's actually very liberating. And we're not saying all of your deals are going to close, but leads aren't actually that, they're not bad. We say it all the time. When we do these things, this is what actually drives outcomes in a more controllable way for your pipeline. Then, like Chad says all the time, we're going to go through and discover and disqualify. So as we're going to go through some content here that's going to go a little bit deeper into that, because these, if you do this, if you do the 4Ds correctly, then you'll be able to disqualify and get the crap out of your pipeline, which is a huge part of efficiency, which is a huge part of you not having a bunch of junk quotes that you're waiting for and a lack of clarity on what your forecast is. There's a lot of compounding impacts here. But this is going to be a good session, guys. Really focus in on it and know that we're giving you guys the bare bones stuff. Again, we spent, Chad and I collectively, 35 years figuring all this stuff out to the core level that is. If you guys do it, promise it's going to help.
100%. So the one thing that I want to add, and David, I don't know if it's me or you, but you cut up for a sec. When we talk about leads, guys, when we talk about leads, I do want to say this because this is top of mind. When I used to run call centers, there were ultimately three types of leads that would come in. And this is a biased one, but this is the three types of leads that I typically saw come in. Number one was a replacement. Very simple. Clients looking at replacing their roof, right? We can have qualifications, all that stuff behind it, but clients looking at replacing the roof. Number two is a leak or a quote, which means, hey, I have a leak. Can you come take a look at it? Or, hey, I need a quote. Can you come take a look at it? Same thing for the most part. And then the third one is what we called preventative, proactive, whatever you want to call it, right? No need is really what it was. I don't have any needs, but I'm happy to be able to shake your hand. And what I saw is that sales reps would automatically flock to the replacements because they're like, oh man, this guy's replacing the roof. Like, it's awesome. Let's go for it. And my side, not trying to be pessimistic on it, but my side is like, okay, it's a roof replacement. Someone else has already led them to think they need a roof replacement. Someone else is already leading this. I'm second or third to the table because the client has already made the comment that he's looking for a 60 mil TPO roof, which is a completely different discovery phase from me because he probably has another contractor. There's probably someone else that he's used for 6 years, and maybe he just needs 3 bids to award the job. That's going to be a hard sale. That's going to be one of the hardest sales I have to do because we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to do it. So whenever I saw a roof replacement, I wasn't overly excited. Not saying we didn't take it. We definitely took it. We bid it. We won a lot of them, but that was number one. The second one was a leak or a quote, right? Which is, okay, we got a leak. Okay, we got a quote. And both of them were like, all right, yeah, let's go. They got leaks. They got problems. And what I typically found is that was a race to speed, number one, which wasn't always the most strength that I had, depending on where the territory was at, right? Because if I have a leak, it's like, how quickly can you get out here? And that always wasn't the win, because even if I got out there the day after, it doesn't mean that someone else hasn't already got the day before, quoted it, job's awarded, it's no longer good. So there was a lot of pressure in that. And when you have a lot of pressure, it doesn't allow you to be able to do a true discovery, a true diagnosis of what's happening, because you're ultimately reacting, right? It's an emergency call. Get out there, search and find mission, find what's going on. And it doesn't allow you to be able to truly show your value. Yeah, maybe you can show your response time. Maybe your technician can get out there and stop the leak. Now, I'm going to hope that buys you enough time to be able to go back to the customer and not have to be that commodity. Hey, last time I had a leak, I called this guy. We don't want to be that. So that was also a hard sale, because that had a lot to do with time and how quickly I can bring value to the customer. The last one was the reactive, or the proactive, preventative, whatever you want to call it, which is basically, I don't have an issue. And most of my sales reps that I worked with were not very happy about this, because they're like, all right, I'm going to meet with someone. He doesn't have any issues. He doesn't have any problems. Like, why am I doing this? This is a waste of time. I should go do something else. And there's just some real conversations that I had. But from my mind, this was the best time for me to be able to position myself as their primary vendor, because the other two situations I gave you, I'm going up against other people, right? I'm more than likely going up against someone else when there's a replacement. I'm more than likely going up against somebody else when he says yes to us reaching out and saying, hey, you got a leak? Yeah, happy, come give me a proposal. I'm assuming at that point right now he's shopping for something, whether it be price, scope of work, contract, whatever it is, right? Those proactive ones, those were my favorite. I got to sit down with someone who did not have a urgent need, right? Which lessens my value of sitting down and saying, hey, let's talk about this. How do we proactively prevent leaks? What does preventative maintenance look like? Are they under a manufacturer's warranty? Like all this different stuff where I can add value, whether that be in the educational or the preventative side. And I know I'm kind of going deep into this, guys, but like mindset is something we're going to talk about in the upcoming weeks. And it's huge. It's huge. It's huge. It's huge. So just like David said, the leads suck. There's a lot that you can do with the right opportunity, because as sales reps, you guys know this. You guys are fighting to sit down with people, right? You're fighting to be able to get the opportunity to go on a roof. So when you sit down with someone, there's a lot that you can do with the right discovery methods and tactics to be able to get the most out of it. And it doesn't mean that you're going to walk out of the meeting that day with an opportunity, but you are building that long-term book of business. You're building that relationship. So David, I'll shut up now.
No, you're good.
All right, take us through this.
So guys, we look at this thing as this issue of doing the same thing over and over again and getting different and expecting different results. Right. And Chad and I mean, we've dove in with hundreds, I mean, maybe even over 1,000 sales reps at this point, together and independently. And one of the things that we see is that this cycle of doing the same thing over and over again isn't something that's intentionally happening. It's not something that we're intentionally doing as salespeople. It's something that we fall into based on the nature of our role and really based on our industry of sales, not roofing, of sales, because this happens across all verticals and industries. But in the role of sales, in our industry, in the sales industry, there are some things that are very, very common that ultimately just causes us to fall into this mode of, I feel helpless. I don't know what else to do. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, because what I'm doing, I believe to be the most effective and right and the best thing. Why would I change that? Right? I'm not insane. So what we figured out is there's an actual real cause to this, and things that are happening within your role and within your career that are actually shaping this. And this is what we call the 3 soul drainers of sales. The first one is the one size fits all syndrome, to basically say when we get into the role of sales, we're producing results. But a lot of the coaching, like Chad has said, a lot of the support that we're getting is one size fits all. It's the same solutions to the same problems. It's not specifically, there are, except for the stuff that we're giving you guys, There are no assessments, there's no evaluation, there are no diagnostic tools that are, other than what we're giving you, that specifically point out where in your sales process are you having the most problems. Where do you specifically need to work the most to be able to start to close more of the deals that you're losing so that you can make more money? This one size fits all syndrome forces you to start changing things that aren't even a problem in your sales process, and it has a negative impact. Well, that would frustrate anybody, guys. Right? So this is one of the things in our industry, the sales industry, that's happening that causes a huge problem for us as salespeople. And that's why we're trying to get more specific with our sales postmortems, using the 5 fatalities, using the buyer's action plan to be able to narrow in where do you need to focus the most. The second thing is the impossible clone. We come in as salespeople, and usually it's the owner that's been selling, and the owner just expects us to do the same things that they did and have the same success that they did. And we're not the same. And because they don't understand that, we end up getting managed and coached as if we are a clone when we're not a clone. So again, we're not getting the very specific level of support that we need, because the challenges that we have are not the challenges that they had. And if it's not the challenges they had, we shouldn't have those challenges. And it's not that they're doing anything wrong, guys. It's just that's normal psychology. That's just the way we all are. We all think that our world is the world. So we end up getting one size fits all training. We end up from a support perspective and leadership perspective, getting a clone leadership. And then the last one, no one cares about a roof. All of the training that companies give is all about the roof. It's all about the asset that we need to be selling, selling to service and fix and maintain. And Chad's latest book is titled "No One Cares About the Roof," because they don't, guys. The roof is a means to an end. That's all it is for them. They don't care about the roof, but that's all that is a whole cornerstone of how we're selling, because that's how we've been taught. And again, this just creates a cycle of disconnect and despondence from our prospects, which creates even more frustration. They don't get it. They're trying to rush me. They're just treating me like a number. Sharpen your pencil, right? Whatever the thing is. But it's because of these 3 things that we end up in this mode of like, it's almost helplessness, guys. It really, really is. And Chad and I were fortunate enough to have leaders. We each had a leader at some point in our careers that showed us there was a different way. I mean, I didn't have more than one that showed us a different way. And then we found a different way, and we took control over our results. And that's how we were able to ascend in our careers and in our profession. And that's what we're now trying to pass on to all of you guys.
So I want to add 3 things, because I always bring my life into this. So not sorry. The one size fits all syndrome, right? And I was in a book of business today with a sales rep, 46 opportunities that were in quoted, right? So he had delivered proposal, he had 46 that were in quoted. And most of the time when I talk to different companies, that's what they look at. I ask them what their book of business looks like, and they tell me what's quoted, right? Or what's sold. And that is the bottom of the funnel. All of the activity, the qualification, I mean, even more importantly, the pain that the customer's having, the urgency that they have, is all defined up top. So I have this massive clog of opportunities at the bottom of this funnel, right? 46 proposals in the client's hands, and we can't do anything about it. And most of the time, the problem or pain is not big enough for the customer actually to take action. Where if we would have better qualified, right, and better understood that, hey, we need to spend some more time qualifying at the top of the funnel, right? We need to get better at that side. That's what allows us to be able to be extremely unique in this sales process, is that every single sales rep, right, doesn't have the same exact issue. There's no silver bullet that's going to make everybody absolutely fabulous. Right. And that to me is what the one size fits all is. It's like, all right, here you go, guys. I'm going to teach you this today. And then you're going to run. That's not what it's about. The impossible clone, I've been there many times, where you have just like this owner that has the ability to literally change the world, change the proposal, change everything. And then you step inside that world. And it's not like that. And you don't get the support, much like David said. So that's part of the reason why I'm here. That's why No Reps exists, is so you guys have somewhere to be able to come and to be able to see different ways. You have someone that you can challenge and say, you know what, I don't agree with that. And that's perfect. we want to be able to work through some of those situations. And then no one cares about the roof. If you guys have been a part of any of my other webinars or talk tracks or anything that I have, your job as a sales rep is to be able to blend the world between what your client sees and what your technician sees. Because what your client sees is water on the floor, stained ceiling tiles. They see a slip ball hazard, right? And that's what they're ultimately calling you out for. Yeah, they're pointing at the roof saying, yeah, that the roof is leaking. Okay, I get that. But if you stop the roof from leaking, but there's still water on the floor, is your client happy? Absolutely not. So that's what we have to understand as a sales rep. You're mending those two worlds to be able to say these are the deficiencies connected to the problems that you're having within your building. And that's a huge, huge disconnect that we talk about inside one of the other sessions within No Reps, right? Which is no one cares about the roof. This is all about customer experience. They want to know that you're going to be there on time. They want to be able to know, right, that you're going to fix it right. You're going to fix it for life. They're never going to have to do this again. They want to know that you're one call away. They want to understand that you're a professional inside the trade that you have, but they want to know that you're going to fix their perception of reality. How many times have we went on a roof, raise the hands, where you found a whole boatload of deficiencies, but the customer doesn't care? That's a perfect example of this, guys. So what we're looking at ultimately, and this is, like I said, this is the first time we actually put a name to it, is it's the zombie sales rep, right? It's the individuals that ask the same exact questions over and over again, expecting some type of different result. And I can tell you, I've been here, right? I'm hitting my head against a wall, just saying, man, if this person would get out of my way. That was one of the biggest, I'll say, growth factors that I had within my career, is that I felt everybody was in my way. I felt everybody was holding me back from being what I truly could be. And that was the furthest from the truth, right? I had to be able to really take advantage of the opportunities that were in front of me, and either bypass or learn to cope. That was a huge part, right? Learn to cope with some of the situations, some of the problems that were there. Because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for my success. So that was a huge part of putting a name to this, right? It's the zombie sales reps. It's the sales reps do the same exact thing. Same exact. They continue to be able to miss numbers. We don't have to be that individual, guys. We have a way, we have a system to be able to bypass that. And what you guys learn every single week within No Reps, right, allows you to be able to take just one piece of that and start fixing it, right? If our customers are not buying, right? I heard that. I literally heard that today. We're in a very unique time of the year. None of our customers are buying. Nobody's buying right now. That's nothing more than is the problem big enough to act? Because I promise you, there are roof leaks all over the town, metro city, wherever you are, that have problems big enough that they need to do something immediately. Now, as a sales rep, if you're able to help the client understand the impacts of not doing the work, there's massive, massive return to that, while being a trusted advisor, sitting on the same side of the table and gaining that trust with your customer, that you're going to help them solve that issue. And that's, to me, how you step away from being the zombie sales rep. Anything you want to add to this, David?
Yeah, and the key thing on this, guys, is, we look across, let's just say 10 reps, you're always going to be asked to do more. Chad said, right? Like, you've got to close that gap. You want to make more, whatever the gap is, whether it's on your quota or how much money you want to make. And sometimes what happens is people just get convinced that you're not motivated. You're not money motivated, right? You're not money hungry. Yeah, just not motivated by money. What? Of course we are, but we got to be able to figure out how to do that. Right? So there are some people that aren't money motivated. They're making enough and they're finding they're comfortable. They're not hurting enough to get taken out of their comfort zone. You guys are, because you're here. Right? But we can't paint this broad swath to say, oh, they're just not money motivated, or they're just not this or that. No, it's because we're not getting the right level of support to them that they need to actually be able to solve the problems that they're seeing. We're not creating our opinions on what we think the problem is. We're giving assessments and diagnosing where the actual problem is, and then we're getting in and solving that so everybody can see why we're doing what we're doing. There's a reason for all this, guys. So just know that what we're trying to do here is we're trying to label an unfortunate situation that we've seen so many great salespeople fall into. At one point, Chad and I were those people, right? But the key is now if we can label it, if we can see it and call a spade, now we can actually correct it. And that's really what we want to do.
100%.
Our mantra is no more zombie sales reps.
Yep. And I actually took this photo of David back in 2006.
No, not my best side. Not my.
So
back then.
that's what we're about, guys. as we continue to be able to drill deeper into this, right? No reps is where everything started inside here. But at the end of the day, we're looking to be able to provide you guys with the customized individual processes so you guys can help eliminate those maybes, right? We talk about that each week. No maybes. Is the problem big enough to act? Yes or no, right? Do they need outside help? Yes or no? Are they going to do the work themselves? Yes or no? And as we start distinguishing the exact questions that need to be asked and the processes that you guys have to follow, that's what starts taking you out of it. That's what starts helping you guys create what I would consider is your unique cure, right? There are some individuals that are just absolutely phenomenal at making cold calls, but that same individual, I'm going to be direct here, sucks at closing, right? They can cultivate all day long. They have zero problem being on the phone, cultivate the opportunity. But guess what? I don't want to leave the office and deliver the proposal. I just don't want to. And that's absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely fine. Part of this is to be able to figure out, okay, where are your strengths and where are the opportunities to be able to increase. And that's ultimately kind of what David talks about that unlimited cap. When you guys truly unlock all of this and you understand where in your book of business you need to be better, right? Whether it's on the activities, conversations, or wherever it is within that book of business that allows you to be able to really get it. So this is a huge part of what you guys are going to see moving forward is that we're going to be focusing on, okay, how do we break out of that commodity side? How do we ultimately resurrect, right? Our sales, because everybody on here has been successful, right? Everybody here has had successful jobs. You've had successful sales. And what we need to do is we need to learn from those successes. But much like David said, you learn a lot more from losing than you actually do winning. Winning is great. I love the feeling. I'm with you. I'm all there. But if we can actually understand why some of our jobs are not passing go, why some of our jobs are not being sold, that ultimately what leads us into what we call the Trinity of resurrection. Okay, so these are the 3 steps that David and I have outlined to be able to create what is a independent or individualized training program. We talk a lot about numbers, right? We talk about the questions and the checkpoints and all that kind of different stuff, but numbers is really, really what dives into this. And as we get further into this, guys, the first thing that you have to do, whether it's with a team, with us, independently, or wherever it is, it starts with an autopsy, guys. You have to go in and you have to understand your numbers. You have to understand exactly how many calls are you making, right? How many conversations are you having? That's a huge, huge part that I always step into first is, are you actually doing the right things? We all have 8, 10, 12 hours, whatever you invest every single day. Do you want to spend it doing drops or do you want to spend it doing cold calls? Do you want to spend it sending emails? Or do you want to spend it surfing LinkedIn? At the end of the day, guys, this is what makes you guys you. This is what gets you guys out of that sales zombie, right? Is that if you do the exact same thing, if you make 100 calls today and don't get any appointments, and you make 100 calls tomorrow and don't get any appointments, well, how long are we going to do that till we need to figure out that we got to change something? So that's the first step inside this is doing an autopsy, understanding where your numbers are at. Then what we can do is truly start putting together that sales strategy, right? That strategy that is independent or individualized directly into you guys. Because someone who has a really strong hunting mentality might not be able to close. And to be able to give everyone, right, that one size fits all syndrome, to be able to give everybody the exact same training, it doesn't do anything. So when you create that independent sales strategy, it allows us to be able to create very unique areas in the business where we're able to be able to come in, coach, help, and mentor you guys to be able to change those numbers. Because again, it's not about having those 46 opportunities in quoted. I can tell you the individual that has 46 in quoted is not hitting a sales goal. It's about correctly qualifying and even like David said, disqualifying to where you only have the best opportunities in your book of business and they pass those 3 milestones or those 3 checkpoints that we continue to be able to talk about. And then David, do you want to take it through the sales fatality or the defense training?
Yeah. So, and guys, that's effectively what we're doing here, or in part of it, right? When we go through at the end of the day and we can understand the first 2 parts, then we need the actual points of execution. And the sales fatality defense training is sales training should all revolve around why your deals are dying so that you can reverse that. If you think about your health, that's all you're trying to do. Is you're looking at the things that could kill you and you're making sure that you stay away from that stuff. It's the same thing, guys. every other sales philosophy out there that we see is just some random sales philosophy. It's not about specifically diagnosing the things you need, or specifically outlining the things that you need to do based on the diagnosis that aligns to the things that are killing most of your deals. And that's where it comes back to the 5 fatalities, which is the cornerstone of all of this. The 5 fatalities of sales. If you can know the 5 fatalities, then you can actually defeat the sales reaper. If you can know what the 5 reasons why your deals are dying, you can now proactively ensure that you eliminate these factors from killing your deals, or identify that they're going to kill your deal. And that is the point of disqualification. You don't ever have to worry about disqualifying a deal that shouldn't have been disqualified. Because when you go through our process that we'll go through and recap here, and the 3 reasons or the 3 ways to qualify leads, it all goes back to one of these 5 fatalities. The writing's on the wall, guys. One of these is probably going to kill your deal anyway. Just call a spade, call a spade with your prospect, and move on to people that need you more.
So 5 fatalities. We went through this. So if you're last week, obviously 5 fatalities, we went through it last week. But number 1, timing, right? Belief that the timing's not right. These are the proposals that never get awarded. These are the proposals that sit there that you quoted 60, 90, 6 months, 12 months ago. And it's not that you lost the job, it's that the job never happened. Right? We have a way to be able to defeat that, right? We have a strategy to be able to defeat that. Number 2 is competition, right? How many times they can get out there faster, or whatever variable is that makes them better, right? Competition is a huge, huge part of that. Number 3 is price. And I won't say it's easy, but there is a process that allows you to be able to nullify price when it comes to value, right? Because your value should always outweigh the price, and you can even go deeper into that and dive into impact and a lot of different things that we teach specifically within that. Next one is trust, right? I've worked with this guy for 5 years. You guys, the prices were pretty close together. I went with him because I've worked with him in the past. I know what I'm going to get, right? That's trust. And then finally, product fit. And a lot of this has to do with our 3rd milestone or checkbox, which is how do you position yourself as an expert? Because if you go in as a roofing contractor trying to sell waterproofing, you're not going to be the expert in the room, especially if you have a waterproofer that's in the room bidding the same project as you. It allows them to be able to say, hey, this is exactly what we do. There's reason that companies have divisions specifically dedicated to waterproofing, to HVAC, to mechanical, or whatever it might be, is because they position themselves as an expert. So when they come in to be able to bid those projects, they don't lose them due to product fit. All of this sits within the 5 fatalities, guys. And this is not about saying, and I know David mentioned up front, call a spade, but this is part of the autopsy. We can go in and we can figure out why sales are dying. And if we can figure out why your sales are consistently dying, we can change the future. We can change how we're going about it. We can create those customized or independent sales strategies that help you guys start defeating this. The only problem that I have a problem with is the same problem. I know I said problem a lot there, but that's truly where I'm at. If you have the same problem over and over again, it's the definition of insanity, right? It's a zombie sales rep that continues to be able to say, I'm quoting more jobs, but I keep losing them to price. We're still way too high on price. Fact of matter is, for every company I've ever worked for, guys, they pull from the same labor pool, they buy from the same materials, and the markup's just about the same. So there's another problem out there. Those are the things that we're going to solve, guys. And this is the larger side of that sales zombie, right? That we're trying to defeat. We're trying to break you guys free of. David, anything you got before we jump into checkpoints and start rocking through this?
Let's do it.
All right. So this is what you guys are probably more used to. So what we're going to be going through, I'll say in the next 20 minutes, 19 minutes and change inside here, is we're going to be going through the 3 buyer checkpoints. So I think it was a 2, 3, 4, whatever it was. We went through each one of these and we went in depth in each one of these. But the idea is that you want to qualify, or sometimes even more importantly, disqualify. Because when you disqualify an opportunity, what you get is actually almost better than anything you'll get on any other part of the process other than sales. That's time. The more time that you guys spend following up with opportunities that don't answer the phone, ignore you, or just continue to be able to drag you on, fatality timing, right, is less time that you guys are spending with people that truly have a problem big enough to act, right? That's what we're going to be going into, and that's what we're going to be jumping through. These 3 checkpoints are extremely influential to the success of your book of business and to the success of you guys as a sales rep. If you do not have a good qualification or disqualification process, you are going to bid everything and you are going to follow up with everything, and your success is going to be based upon either the number or you guys being in the right place at the right time. What I always say at that point, hope is not a strategy. Do not hope you're going to get the job. Check these 3 boxes, hit these 3 milestones, and position yourself as an expert inside the room. And that's kind of what we're going to be going through. Huge part of this. I know I said a lot in that first half, especially if this is your first time here. I don't expect you guys to recreate the wheel. I already have it. I've already went through this. David and I have worked on this for years to be able to say, okay, what specific questions are going to help us answer the question, do they have a problem big enough to act? You guys don't have to create that. We've already done all of that different work, because the idea, much like I said earlier, is to eliminate the maybes. Is the problem big enough to act? I don't know. No, that doesn't work. That's hope. What we're going to do is clearly define, sit on the same side of the table as our customer and define, is that problem big enough to act? Yes or no? If it's a yes, game on. Let's go. Let's go solve that problem together. If it's a no, it's okay. If it's a stained ceiling tile on the side of my office, it's been there for 2 years, and guess what? You guys called me, so I said, yeah, take a look, get a price. Doesn't mean I'm not going to bid it, but it surely is not going to hit the top of my priority list. That's how you start doing smart sales. That's how you start having a book of business that's truly good. And if you guys have ever met sales reps or sales companies, it's like, man, my close ratio is 50%, 60%, or whatever number they give you. Trust me, it's not because they're bidding a lot of jobs. It's because the jobs they're bidding are exact to what they know they can win. Huge part of that, guys. That's a huge nugget if you guys take away. Bid the right projects, your close ratio will go up, your time allowance will go up, and give you guys more time to focus on the opportunities that truly need to be accomplished. So kind of already went through this, discover and disqualify. It's okay to say no. It's okay not to let an opportunity enter your book of business if it's not something that you guys truly want, if it doesn't align to your business, or if there's a red flag. And I talk about that in a lot of my kickoffs. What's a red flag? Right? Some person said all of a sudden says lawsuit, right? We're in a lawsuit with the guy who installed the roof. Maybe that's a red flag. It's okay. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say, hey, I don't think this is the right opportunity. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a bidding environment where they say, yeah, I do got a project, but I need a number by Friday. Can you make that happen? I'm out. The only thing you're going to get with rushing is estimates, and estimates are guesses. And guesses are going to be high, or at least they should be high, because if not, you guys are losing money. Do the right job, do the right time. Just because the opportunity is right in front of you doesn't mean you need to take it. Huge part of some of the best sales reps that I've ever worked with. So checkpoint 1, do they need to act? It's pretty straightforward. First off, do they know why they scheduled the meeting? I ask that question because, again, I'm interested in my customers, in my prospect candidate, whatever you want to call them. I'm interested inside their environment. So what's going on? Talk to me. Typically, when we sit down, people have a problem or a goal. Which one is it for us? Second one, are the decision makers present? 2, not 3, sorry. Are the decision makers present? Because if all the decision makers are not present, that means whoever you're talking to is going to have to resell your proposal to somebody else. And that sucks. Because trust me, they are not as good as you. They are not listening as good as you, and they will retain what they want to retain. And what they retain is not always what their boss wants to hear or whoever the decision maker is. I've been in way too many situations where I've given a bid to a manager on a specific site that has given it to his boss, that his boss says, nope, we are not doing this. But the site that I gave the bid to was like, dude, this is exactly what I need. This is perfect. I was high and mighty. I thought I did something amazing. But then the job gets killed or awarded to somebody else because there's another buyer. Always make sure that you have everybody inside the room. So are the decision makers present? Had they tried to solve this and fail? This is pretty straightforward, because if you deliver a solution the exact same of something they've already tried to do, what are the chances that you guys are actually going to win that job? Do not assume. Do not go in there saying, yes, I think I should, I could. Ask the questions. It's okay to ask discovery questions to find out truly what have they done, right? What did they try to do to solve this? And why didn't it work? And finally, this is the real disqualification question. What's the worst possible thing if the outcome's not solved? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Now you don't got to go doomsday on this, right? But okay, let's say you do choose a contractor and it's the wrong contractor. What's the worst case scenario? Yeah, I know you got to do it again, but if you've been inside some of my other seminars or other sessions that we have here, we talked about the theater in Dallas, right? And the $100,000 that they had to pay to be able to get the ceiling repainted from a roof leak. Real story, real world, guys. What's the worst possible outcome if you don't do anything at all? Or what's the worst possible outcome if you choose another contractor, right? Because maybe they were cheaper or something along that side, and you don't get what you want. That's how you get to the point of checkpoint one. Do they need to act? David, anything you want to add to that side, sir?
Nope.
Look at that. He always used to correct me. I'm doing so good now.
Mhm.
All right. Checkpoint number two. Do they actually need new or outside help? This is a huge, huge part to me because when you get into this side, what we're figuring out is a couple different things. Number one, do they, and I'm not going to go through the questions right now, but this is just for me. Number one, do you have a contractor? And if you do, why am I here? That's the first thing I want to know. And secondly, is if you do the work yourself and you've always done the work yourself, or I don't even care if you haven't, if I give you a proposal for sealants and fastener, right? Some sealant that's failing, some fasteners to one-story building, they can jump up there by the back of the bed of their truck, whatever it is. Are they going to go do it themselves? Because again, you got to think about this. Every time that you guys deliver a proposal, it's your time, right? It's the company's money, and it's everybody's energy to be able to get this proposal in front of the customer. So as sales reps, we should be doing everything we can not to waste those valuable resources on something that's never going to sell. That's what this is about. So do they need new or outside help? Number one, are we aligned on the problems that actually need to be solved? I asked this question because earlier I told you no one cared about the roof, right? When they're talking about the zombies. What's the actual problem that needs to be solved? Because it's not that the roof's leaking. It's not that the ceiling tile is stained. What's the real problem that I'm here? Is it water on the floor? Is it maybe that the whole front end of the restaurant is closed down? Is it that there are a garbage can in the school, right, inside one of the classrooms that's catching water right next to the kids and the kids aren't able to learn, or they've had to relocate those kids to the cafeteria, and that's where they're doing their classroom today? All real world scenarios that I'm giving you guys. What is the actual problem that needs to be solved, and are we aligned on this? Very, very important as you go into this. Number two, are the expected outcomes enough to fund a solution? Okay, so I get it. You have roof leaks. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? We've already went through this. Okay, so if we fix this roof leak, is it enough that you guys are actually going to spend money to fix it? Well, yeah, one kid slip and falling at a school can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. It makes sense.
Mhm.
But in order for me to be able to get there, there is a set of questions, and we call them probes, right? That'll allow you guys to be able to get that deep, right? Something as simple as the restaurant that can't open the front side or can't open part of their seating. What's that cost? Especially during lunchtime, especially during rush hour. What's it cost that you can't open that area or you can't have people sit there? Are they going to go somewhere else? That's the type of stuff. So are the expected outcomes enough to be able to fund a solution? Next one is budget. Do they have an adequate budget to create these outcomes? So this is really simple. Do you guys typically budget for something like this? Or do you reactively respond to issues? And it's as simple as basically saying, hey, do you guys respond as soon as the roof leaks? Or do you guys have a plan, right? This is not the actual question, but do you guys have a plan to be able to help prevent this from happening? The second cool thing from this is you find out if they're a reactive or proactive customer almost immediately. Now you know how to manage the book of business moving forward. Now remember, we're just still in discovery here. And then finally, do they have the internal resources to solve this? So why don't you guys just do it yourself? It seems pretty simple. Seems like you know exactly what you want. Why don't you guys just do it yourself? True story. I was with a self-storage company. This was way back in like 2012, 2013. Someone was on a step ladder. They had fell off the step ladder, and there was a company mandate for the entire corporation, massive corporation, okay, that anybody as an employee of this company could not go over the second step on a step ladder, which means there was no more changing light bulbs. There was no more cleaning out gutters. There was no more anything. So it was not the fact that they couldn't do that they could do it themselves. It's the point that they weren't allowed to. Finding this information out makes you a trusted advisor and helps you solve the problem that is not the roof. So I hope you guys are understanding this. It is not about the roof. This is about bringing clarity into what your problems, what your client's actual problems are as the result of roof deficiencies or whatever else that's contributing to it. David, anything you want to add to this one, sir?
No, and just for the newcomers who are on streaming on social or here on Zoom, just remember we go through these in length in each session. So we're doing the quick hit summary here. But if this is your first time seeing this stuff, stay with us then every single Tuesday where we're going to go way deeper into these things, where we can answer your questions and make sure that we're being 100% clear on how each one of these gets executed specifically to ensure you can qualify them against these checkpoints or not.
And great points, Heather, because we spend 60 minutes, literally 60 minutes just on do they need to act, right?
Yep.
Diving into the nuts and bolts of this. So what you guys are getting is the 10,000-foot view of what's going on. So again, don't be overwhelmed by it. We showed you that each one of the questions, how it works, all that stuff's there. So finally, do we have the best solution? This is about positioning yourself as an expert in the room, right? No one wants to be able to give something to a general contractor. And I say that openly because if you're a general contractor on here, game on for you. But as we start dealing in the private negotiated world, right, you want an expert. You want someone who has a proven history of solving these problems. That's number one. Do we have a proven history of solving their problems, right? So you talk about roof leaks. What makes you guys great? Let's start sharing some of the special sauce that we have, right? That makes us absolutely phenomenal at solving roof leaks and getting our customers' building back online. We have to have that information ready. Are they clear on how our solution, our specific solution, solves their problem? Because again, if they treat us like a roofing contractor and we act like a roofing contractor, we're going to get commoditized. So you have to be able to separate yourself from all of the noise that's happening from the other 2-3 bidders or whatever it is to be able to say, hey, no. We specialize inside solving roof leaks, and here's how we do it. We fix it right, we fix it fast, we fix it right, and we fix it for life. And then be able to explain how you do that, explain the secret sauce of how you're going about it. So are they clear on how your solution solves their specific problems? And then finally, expectations, guys. Do our delivery methods and milestones work for them? I always say this, if you were to meet with a customer today and they said, yep, I'm replacing my roof, I need a proposal, I have the cash right now, how long is it going to take you to get the roof takeoff, take it into estimating, generate the proposal, deliver the proposal to him? Let's assume that he awards it in 1 week, okay? Let's assume he awards it in 1 day. How long until you get that production schedule, get the materials ready, and start loading that project? Let me remind you, the customer has not had peace of mind until that job is done. Typical contractor is 60 to 90 days to simply be able to load the project. So do the delivery methods and milestones work? So if they have water coming into their building and it's affecting their business, do your milestones work for them? And if not, this is where you solve that problem. Do not solve it from an operational side because that is nothing but firefighting. Everybody loses in that side. Set it up front and understand that what you guys are doing is you guys are making a promise and the operational side of the business has to deliver on that promise. That's how you have a strong sales to production handoff, and also why it's so important to be able to have these 3 check boxes, right? To be able to get your customer to a decision. Okay, again, get your customer to a decision. And I'm going to jump back real quick just so we can see it, because the reason that we're doing this discovery and disqualify is not only for you or me as a sales rep, right? Saying, oh, you know what? This guy doesn't need to act. I'm out. Boom. Okay, cool. But the second part for this is I'm also going to create complete clarity for my customer to be able to say, wow, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about the slip fall hazard. I didn't think about the product that we're losing every single time. I didn't think about having to pay someone to have to move pallets every single time it rains, which is disrupting my business. That's our job as an expert, is to be able to understand what is the true impact to this business. Because typically the roof leak and the cost to be able to repair the roof is small points when it comes to the total disruption to the business. Now, the last part that I'll leave you guys with, because I know we're getting close on time, is what we call the confirmation close. And once you execute those 3 checkpoints and you make sure that you and your customer are completely aligned, the problem is big enough, they actually need outside services and you are the expert inside the room, it really comes down, there's 5 here, 5 things I'm going to show you, but there's 3 questions. So when you get inside an opportunity and you have the ability to be able to recap with your customer, it not only gives you complete alignment, but it also comes back right here, priority level. We talked about this being a high priority to you, right? We asked the question, hey, 1 through 10, how important is this to you? You told me it was a 9. Is it still that important? This allows you to be able to check back in. Has anything changed? Has any other priorities came up? Did any HVAC go out where they had to relocate the money or reallocate the money somewhere else? Don't assume that what happened 3 weeks ago is the same when you show up to deliver the proposal. So go back out there. Is the priority level still high? Yes, it is. All right, cool. What about your ability level? I know you said that you didn't really have any resources to be able to take care of it. Is that still there? Yeah, no, nothing's changed. Still have 0 ability to be able to take care of this. This is an alignment. The last thing that happens is you have the ability to be able to ask 3 questions. And these 3 questions are how you ultimately get sales. It's not about asking for the sales. It's not about the follow-up. It's not about checking in. It's about having complete alignment because you and your customer should end at the finish line at the same exact time. Question number 1, is everybody here still aligned on the problems that were needing to be solved and are clear on how our solution specifically solves it? You wait for an answer. If your answer is not yes, I get it, I understand, do not deliver the proposal, guys. Please do not deliver the proposal because there is some type of doubt or confusion in your customer's mind. And David, when the customer is confused, what happens?
They do not act.
They don't do anything, guys. They stall or they talk to somebody else that they're less confused with. Don't deliver the proposal. That's question 1. Question number 2, is everyone still aligned to the expected outcomes? And is the ROI sufficient? Are we still at the same point? So we're all on the same page that we're here to be able to get this dining room back up and open so you guys can operate it. I know we talked about $10,000 a day was the approximate cost when you can't use this dining room. Is that ROI still efficient to be able to move forward? Is it enough for you guys to be able to make a decision and move forward? Remember, this is all about the client making a decision. We're helping them. We're sitting on the same side of the table. Question number 3, are we the right solution to solve the current problems and create the desired outcome? It's pretty much that simple. Have I done everything inside my power to be able to show you how we uniquely and professionally solve these problems? And are you confident that we're the company that can create these outcomes for you? Do not pass go. Do not deliver the proposal. Do not lose that power, guys, if your customer is not completely aligned on all the work that you have done. The worst thing that you can do is ask all of these questions up front and then deliver a proposal with a bunch of roofing jargon because all of the value that you built goes out the window because your customer's not a roofer. He's not a roof. They're not a roofer. They don't understand scuppers, drains, flashing, coping. Typical customer, private negotiated size, do not know that, guys. That will confuse them and that will set the sale back. So I know I'm being a little bit direct here, guys, but this is how you do it. You have to be able to mend that world between what the roof is and what your customer's current reality is. So I know I'm at time. Thank you, thank you, thank you guys for joining in. Much like David said, don't be overwhelmed, especially if this is your first time coming in, because we go through each one of these inside detail. Next week, I believe, is mindset, which is a really cool one because it allows us to be able to go deep into, okay, what is the mindset? How do you walk in, have confidence, and deliver, right, a product and a solution that people are actually going to believe? So, David, I did most talking inside this one. Anything you want to end with, sir?
Nope, we're good. Get to it, guys. Start taking the stuff we're giving you. That's going to change the results.
Go kill it, guys.